know if you know this, but about 92% of people who set their goals or resolutions for the year have forgotten them or have failed. You're watching Chic Innovator. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's free. Hi everybody, Arabelle here. So the Chic Innovator has taken off. I want to share with you the reason I'm doing it. I want the opportunity to share with you wonderful things that are happening with individuals that I know that are friends, wonderful people that I get to meet, but also the knowledge that I have that I've accumulated along the way as the CEO of a company or someone who's very involved in fashion or involved in the community in many different capacities. I get to learn a lot of things, and Chic Innovator is going to give me an opportunity to learn even more and to share things with you. So I'm really excited about that. I want us to be very, very successful together. So it's 2025, and I don't know if you know this, but about 92% of people who set their goals or resolutions for the year have forgotten them or have failed. I don't believe in failure, so let's say more forgotten, right? Or maybe they weren't that important to you. But one of the things that I want to make sure that all of us do this year is that we make this year one of the most amazing and successful years for you and for me. That's why I started Chic Innovator. The first part of it is going to be today, where we're going to be doing kind of an assessment, and I'll explain that, of last year, and it will help you kind of set up the goals for the direction that you want to go. And then the second one is going to be, how do you make that a reality? And there are some tools that I want to give you, writing them down, scripting, or a lot of people use a vision board or things like that. And then the third episode will be how to jet fuel, some of these tools that you're using, and then making sure that they're successful. I think one of the first things I want to talk about to all of you is that, we every year, or many of us every year, set off these lofty goals or these lofty ambitions, and we never kind of look back over what we've done over the last year or the previous years. I started looking back over my previous years a couple of years ago, and it really has helped. I think one of the things to think about is when you want to set a direction and you want to set a goal that you want to go to, you have to know where you're at first of all, and then you have to be very clear of where you want to go. I think most people, say, I want to take this fantastic trip, or I, want to learn how to play golf, or whatever. They don't assess, is this something that really makes you happy? Or are you going and doing some of the things that in the past have just not worked for you? Do you say every year, this year, I'm gonna find that guy and get married and get engaged, when in reality, maybe that's not really what you want. Maybe what makes you the most happy is having a partner in a different way. And so what has helped me in the past, and what I want to share with you, is taking an assessment of last year. Don't worry, it's not too late. I think at any point in your life, you can put a marker and, kind of do an assessment. I really recommend that all of us do an assessment. I know for my business, we do it every quarterly, if not more. But, for you, if you want to do it even every 6 months, it's a good idea. So how do you do that though? Because so many things have happened. I don't know about you, but so many things happened to me in 2024. It was a very good year, and I did get a chance to achieve a lot of my goals. But there were also some moments that were maybe not the happiest. And one of the things I want to share with you too that I have found is that being happy, when you're in that moment, when you're at peace and when you're happy, you have to put a lot of value on that, because that's an indication to yourself that you are on the right path, that you are doing the right thing. And, some other times we say to ourselves, I want to become, let's say, a famous dancer, God forbid. I'm a good dancer, but to become a famous dancer at this point would be a little bit tough. But let's say, I put that as one of my goals. It's a possibility, everything is. But I find that, spending the time working on that is not what brings me the most happiness. Maybe what brings me the most happiness is spending time with my family or even doing yoga, right? So looking at your 2024, how are you going to do that? How are you going to look back and look at the last couple of months and kind of what you've done? So here's a couple of different things that I suggest to you. First of all, a lot of us keep our pictures either on your phone, or many of you keep a calendar. I know I do both. And you can also look back on your calendar, or a lot of you script. I script, I keep a notebook, and I try to put in there some of the highlights or some of the redirections that I want to take. And actually if you use all three tools, kind of taking those tools and go all the way back to like last year, January, and go through your January and go through your February, looking at some of those things and then analyzing, as you're going through the different months, what are some of the things that brought some highlights to you, that made you so happy, that really excited you? I completely forgot. I was looking through my calendar, and I had forgotten that in January, I took a trip with a bunch of my very good friends, and we went to Colombia. I had been to Medellin, Colombia, but had not been to Cartagena. And actually had my daughter join in Medellin. And I have to tell you that I looked back and I looked at some of the things that we did and some of the personal growth that I had, during that period, different things that happened, and then how I dealt with them, and then even spending time with my daughter, and how I found that I enjoyed it so much. Enjoyed being with this group of women. They're all powerful, intelligent, type A, great personalities, and we did stuff together. And then I had some time with my daughter that we spent. I got to tell you, when I came back to Chicago, I really poured myself into my work. So it was a motivator. And one of the things that happened on that trip, I do a big fashion show, Runway Latinx, at the end of October. And one of the designers, I knew him, got to meet with him. We went to his atelier. My girls shopped like crazy at his place, and it was wonderful because he ended up coming in for our show here. So there was a lot of fun, a lot of business, and some really personal time. And I found that the type of travel that I want to do is that type of travel, the type of travel that combines some of those things. So I think looking back, again, go through your months, and if you have a couple of different tools that you use, for me, my calendar really helps, because my calendar, a lot of times I won't show business things that I do in my pictures. I just don't take pictures of the business meetings we have, or how I'm moving forward with some projects that we're going after, or that we're working on, or where we're at on the projects. But my calendar does, and my notes that I take, helps me. Some people, use their laptop, and you'll take notes on your laptop. Or, you write them. I do a little bit of a combination of both, but some of that is really important. And assess. So look at what were the highlights, where were some areas that you need to do some work on, where were some areas that maybe some relationships didn't go well. As you're going through each month, you will refresh yourself. For example, are there some things that you need to work on about yourself? Are some friends that maybe you're not with anymore because there were some difficulties? What were those difficulties? Are there things that you want to better about yourself? Are you not on time? Are you late? One of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to better my health, and I'm definitely still working on that now. And so it's funny because I went back and I did a sketch of what I wanted my measurements to be, what I wanted my health levels to be. I was even thinking with regards to my BMI, and fat to muscle ratio and things like that. And I've actually been doing an exercise program, really working toward that. And it's nice for me to say that I wanted to enhance that a little bit, and now where I'm at is I want to maintain it. So I couldn't have done that if I hadn't kind of set that out. Maybe I could have, but I've done it, much more focused because that was something that I decided. And I went back and I looked, at the sketch, and it's, pretty much where I want it to be. But I didn't realize that I needed that so much. One of the things that happened is the previous year in 2023 and 2022, I had a couple of times when I became ill, and I didn't want that to happen at that level again. And so I had to prepare myself. Exercise, eating right, etc. Another thing is I had decided that I wanted to save some money for the right things, right? For the things that I really liked, but that I didn't want to be spending it like on frivolous things. So one thing that was kind of frivolous to me is that I was spending it on ordering lunch. And because I, rushed to the office and I didn't have time to make myself a good lunch. And I wasn't eating right either because I was, ordering whatever we could get to. So started ordering, these specific lunches that we order now, and I order them on a weekly basis. I know what my diet intake is, including my protein and carbs and all that other stuff. And I'm eating healthier. I'm actually saving money. I get them, 4 meals per week, but it's made a huge difference. And I looked at how much money I saved on that. And hey, it allows me to spend it on things that I want to spend it on, right? Maybe that nice designer purse or on that travel, that tourist place that I want to go to. Another thing while looking at my calendar is I wanted to spend more quality time with my mom. And that became, really evident to me. And when I looked at January of last year, when I came back, she was not well. And I ended up spending like a day and a half in the emergency room. It was kind of crazy because she got sick. And so me spending more time with her is really evident. I can't have forgotten that until I took a look at that. So part one of all this is us assessing, like last year, what you did, what were some of the highlights, what were some of the lowlights, what are some of the things that you need to change about yourself. I think another thing that you need to think about is what are some things that you need to stop doing. So, looking at last year, and are there some things that you might need to stop doing? They just didn't work last year for you. And so if you go and you set up your goals and, we do your vision board and your scripting and all these other things, you're planning in your calendar and going after your goals, but you haven't stopped some of these bad habits, how's that going to work? It's just not going to work. What do they call the description of insanity? It's when you keep doing it over and over again the same way and you expect a different outcome. A lot of athletes really, one of the things that they do is they do an assessment and they do a visualization. But again, they need to have a strategic plan. And if they don't know, what tools they have or what their pluses and minuses, they're not going to be able to achieve that goal, if you will, or, run that play correctly or whatever. So let's take a look at 2024. Let's do an assessment, look at your highlights, look at your lowlights. What are some things that you want to stop about yourself? What are some things that are really great about yourself that you want to enhance? And, what are some areas that you want to spend more time in? Remember that one of the most valuable things that you have in your life is your time. And so when you were looking at January, February, March, what were some things that really brought you so much peace and so much happiness? And you're going to probably find that a lot of those didn't take up a lot of your time, but it does require attention focus. It does require your effort. I did want to share with you a little bit before I leave you in this particular episode with some tips. I know we talked about going back and looking at your last year, and I do want to preface this by saying that you don't have to limit it to it being a New Year's resolutions. As we discussed at the beginning, a lot of people fail in their New Year's resolutions by February 1st. So forget about that. I mean, this is something that you can do on your birthday, you can do on another special day that you have, or when you do it, mark it as a special day. It can be done at any time. But once you've reviewed, your last year and kind of taken a look at some of the things that will create a priority for you and some of the things that you may have to leave behind in order to achieve those goals and be successful and live a wonderful life, I did want you to take into account a couple of things. We did mention highly recommend that instead of doing the 1 year of planning ahead, look at the 3 years. I say that to you though, and I also say to you to, even though you're looking 3 years ahead, because it will allow you to kind of put in more and be a little bit more realistic. For some reason, the brain works that way. To not limit yourself and not say, by this date, by December 25th, I will be engaged. Let's say, for example, if that's what you're trying to do. Don't limit yourself with that timetable, because things will come when they're supposed to, when it's the best for you. And so don't limit yourself like that. Or, for example, that you want to make X amount of money. Let's say you say, I want to make $10,000 a month. Don't limit yourself. Say, I will be making, because put it in the positive sense, and we will talk more about that in the next episode, but put it in the positive sense that you're already doing it, and we'll give you some tools to do that even better. But say it where at least 10,000, because you know what? You have the possibility of breaking all barriers, and it is unlimited what you can do. And so don't limit yourself. Give yourself, like a little carrot to move forward toward, but don't limit yourself. So the word at least is always great, because that's kind of a goal that you want to go towards, but you know that you can reach so much more, and you've affirmed that to yourself. So those are some little things. And again, don't limit yourself in time, because it may come even much sooner, and you're not limiting yourself to a certain deadline per se. And along the way, it's all about the journey, isn't it? So along the way, as you are putting these things in front of you, these goals, it's about the journey, enjoying it, learning from it. I think I would also ask myself, which I do often, what do I have to learn? What new things do I have to learn in order to achieve some of these goals that I've set for myself? Are there some classes that I need to take? I know the digital age really came to bloom during COVID, and it was already, starting to go that way. A lot of people were looking at that. And so I said to myself, I want to be better coming out of COVID, and I want to have these tools. And so really took a lot of classes, online classes. So take the moment that you're in and look at how it can help you achieve the long-term goal that you want. And in many instances, you staying stagnant and not learning something is not going to help you. So definitely, are there some classes that you need to take, some things that you need to learn, either classes or talking to other people or whatever. The other thing I do want to tell you, that this is not going to be, just sitting around and waiting. We'll come back on the second episode and give you some tools on what you need to do, but there's going to have to be action put behind what you want to achieve. I think that's one of the things that people take for granted, and they think they can just wait for things to come, and you got to keep things moving. If you're not moving, if you're not growing, then you're stagnant and you're dying. We don't want that for you. We want you to be very, very successful. So these are a few things that I want you to think about as you're planning your 3 years. And I know that we talked about when you're looking back at your journal, what you had written to analyze, your scripting. I call scripting what you use to write and visualize kind of what you want to achieve. Some of you may call it something else. Vision board. And the other thing that is really great is meditating. We will talk about that again the next time we get together. But I use meditation every single day, and it really helps me keep things very clear and calm, because you want to be calm, when you're putting together your goals and what you want to achieve and how you want to achieve them. These are all different tools that can be very beneficial toward achieving your goal. One of the big things I do want to say to you is that a lot of times, and that's why I said like 5 or 6 major things that you want to reach for and achieve is that we jumble it all up. And, for example, on a vision board, I've seen that people they want X love and X amount of money and career and everything. And, the brain seems to work a little bit better when you categorize it and split it up a little bit, at least initially. As you get more proficient on doing it, then you can blend it, and there's another way of doing that, and we'll talk a little bit. But I highly recommend to you that as you're putting your goals together, kind of put in what I call them zones, separate zones. So when you're thinking about them and strategizing and then visualizing kind of what you want it to look like, those zones are a little bit clearer. So if there's a relationship zone and kind of what those relationships will look like, if you're doing a vision board or if you're writing it down or whatever, focus on that as you're putting this together. If there is something that you want to achieve money-wise or work-wise or business-wise, focus on that. How about health, mental health, physical health? You want to achieve better health in that area. Categorize it a little bit differently and split it up, even when you're doing your vision board. So these are some tips. We'll be back. We want you to be very, very successful, and hopefully that will begin to put you on moving forward, not just for 2025, but for the rest of your life. All right, so you've got some homework to do. We'll come back soon with another episode of this, and can't wait to hear about your success. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to see more, please let us know. Looking forward to seeing you here at Chic Innovator and hearing from you. We want you to be successful. We're looking forward to a very, very fantastic year. You're watching Chic Innovator. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's free.